Hello and welcome. Today is a very special day. It is the last day of the year 2023. Oh yes, from tomorrow we will be saying Happy New Year. Yeah, 2023 has been an exciting year, an interesting year, if I may. We had a whole lot of wins and a whole lot of losses. And no matter where you find yourself, we have one common denominator, and that is the fact that we must all thank God for the gift of life. It has pleased God Almighty to keep us till this day. So no matter where you find yourself, we must be grateful. And you know what they say? As long as there is life, there is hope. And we continue to pray that the incoming year will bring us beautiful things and we portend a lot of development for our nation. One way for a nation to develop is for her citizens to be healthy. And one way for the citizens to be healthy is to eat right. You know what they say, right? You are what you eat. It is no wonder on this show we've been focusing on our food industry, paying particular attention to our packaged foods and drinks. And we're asking a very critical question: how safe are they? Okay, so yesterday, from our conversations and everything we said, it was obvious that as far as food safety is concerned, there's a whole lot of challenge before our great country, Nigeria. And we also established the fact that no agency, no one or two or three agencies alone can do it. We must all put our hands together to fight this challenge in order for us to surmount it. We must all. Yesterday they told us, shine your eyes. If you see something, say something. And today we continue in that conversation. My name is Patience Eloy Abba, and I'm excited you've joined us. Let me quickly add, thank you for yesterday. Your messages made our show even richer. Let's do it again today. Welcome back. Let's get the show started. If you're just joining us, it is We Can Deal, coming to you from the network service of the NTA. We'll begin with our backgrounder as put together by Tete Ayuba. But see, don't forget we're asking the critical question: how safe are packaged foods and drinks in Nigeria?
Packaged foods and drinks have become integral to Nigerian lifestyles, evolving with changing preferences and busier schedules. The history reflects a transformation from traditional markets to the emergence of canned and packaged goods, providing diverse options for consumers. These packaged delights offer unparalleled convenience, from ready-to-eat meals to on-the-go snacks. They cater to a fast-paced lifestyle. The accessibility of these products has bridged gaps, bringing a variety of choices to urban and rural areas alike. While the convenience is undeniable, the question of safety looms. How easy is it for packaged foods and drinks to become contaminated? Instances of contamination have raised concerns, prompting scrutiny of production processes. Recalls have been issued to address potential health risks associated with specific products. Contamination risks arise from various factors, including improper handling, storage, or production practices. Recalls due to contamination incidents underscore the need for stringent quality control. We explore specific cases and the lessons learned to enhance the safety of our packaged goods. As we stand at the crossroads of convenience and safety, the future of food in Nigeria beckons change. The journey toward improved food safety involves collaboration between regulatory bodies, producers, and consumers. Advances in technology and increased awareness paved the way for a safer food landscape. In conclusion, the packaged foods and drinks in Nigeria is a tale of innovation and adaptation to modern living. While inconvenience is paramount, the ongoing commitment to addressing safety concerns ensures a healthier future. Let us all navigate this path with a keen eye on improvements, ushering in an era where the convenience of packaged foods coexists seamlessly with unwavering standards of safety.
Thank you so much, Ayuba Tete. As a developing nation and the most populous black nation in Africa, we have an enormous challenge with food security. For us to have safe packaged food, we must abide by a shared of values, which is called food safety. Well, our next contribution by Oyinlola Alabi is on navigating food safety. Let's watch.
The safety of packaged food and drinks has been a major public health issue across the globe, particularly in Nigeria. There have been reports of some food and drink vendors that package products such as water, soft drinks, wine, fruit juices, and many more without proper procedures, all for economic reasons. One wonders how safe the packaged food and drinks in the market are.
Some of it, if you buy it, if you eat it, it will affect you. You understand? So it's not good at all.
I don't think it's safe because I have bought one from riders. When I eat it, it begins to run my stomach. I begin to purge.
I don't think it's hygienic for we Nigerians to be eating preserved food.
For me, I prefer natural things because of in Nigeria here, the packaging of things, electricity, we can't store things well because of electricity. So things get spoiled. You understand?
Yeah, I have a personal experience, but the one I have is pure water. You understand? So when you take it at the end, you now realize that you're having a diarrhea.
Reports show that over 200,000 people die from drinks and food-borne illnesses and diseases annually in Nigeria. Contaminated packaged food and drinks have flooded the market, and numerous Nigerians have been affected.
Like the discovery that was made in Abuja market, one market in Abia State. According to NAFDAC sources, those illegal factories spanning about 240 shops that were converted into winemaking and all manner of illegal beverage factories have been in existence for 10 years or more. And how do you say that NAFDAC did not discover or could not contain if that illegal factories have been on for 10 years? Just imagine the quantum of products they've been able to push into market. What these unscrupulous elements are doing is that they even rub off expiry date and stamp another date for a product that is already expired.
A number of challenges inhibit NAFDAC, the regulatory body, from performing as expected. Contaminated packaged food and drinks seem uncontrollable because the regulatory agency is obviously overwhelmed.
I think they are grossly understaffed. They are ill-equipped for the size of the country and the kind of, is Food and Drug Administration and Control. Food and drug. We have over 1,000 types of food, drugs, spirits, wine, drinks, and they have, from what I learned, NAFDAC has barely 2,000 staff. How could 2,000 staff cover the entire country? I think the funding, the paucity of funding to NAFDAC is the aftermath of what we are seeing.
This menace can be handled with much political will and appropriate policies as ways forward.
The regulatory agencies need to be alive to their responsibility. It has permitted the entire fiber of Nigerian society that it should be declared as a national emergency. Whatever resources that organizations like NAFDAC needs, if they need to recruit up to about 10,000 people so that they can be effective across the states, they need to have offices there. They need to go on constant raid. There's what is called preventive medicine. Preventive medicine is enlightenment. Doctors going on road shows, nurses going on road shows, health workers going on road shows to educate market men and women on illegal health practices.
Experts are of the opinion that consumers of packaged food and drinks should be more proactive to prevent stories that touch the heart. Your health must not be trivialized.
Your health must not be trivialized. Your health in your hands. You must demand the right thing and do the right thing. Now, joining our conversation are two experts who are key players in the food industry. Let's meet our first guest, Mohammed Mustafa. Okay, now let's go directly and meet virtually our second guest. Welcome back. I told you our two guests are key players in the sector, and I am delighted to have them. The first one is Mohammed Mustafa, who is the Chief Operations Officer, Afri Life Natural Food Products Processing Limited. Sir, you're welcome to the Weekend Day Studios.
Thank you.
And the second one is Alhaji Abdul Salam Uziges, Director NAFDAC FCT Abuja. Sir, you're welcome to the Weekend Deal Studios.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a question before we start. So we delve deep into our conversation. I'll start with you, Mr. Mustafa. Do you think packaged foods and drinks in Nigeria are safe? On a personal note, do you think they are safe?
On a personal note, they are safe.
They are safe, okay. Do you think they are safe, Alhaji Uziges?
Of course, they are meant to be safe in the first instance.
Okay.
But from time to time, you have some breaches, and that's why there are organizations existing to remedy such non-compliances.
At least we have established the fact that they are miscreants, and there are people who, somebody called them death mongers, because whatever you fake that could lead to loss of life, and you're doing it happily, it means the person is a death monger. So these people are there. What are some of the challenges NAFDAC is facing in combating them?
Of course, part of our work remains the fact that there must be safe food and other regulated products. So it's a continuous assignment. The vision is wider than we can think. And of course, we will not be existing again if we have achieved our mission. So it's a continuous effort. From time immemorial, even in the scriptures, we've always had issues of spurious products. People trying to present what it is not or what it looks like to people for profiteering purposes. And essentially we refer to it as food fraud. And food fraud is gone international. And food fraud is when you have to present a look like or a pretentious item that this is it, whereas it is not. And when you do that for profit purpose, it's a food fraud and it's a serious issue, causing a lot of health hazards. If you look at it, we'll try to see only the prepackaged items. Food fraud starts from the street. when you have to give, just serve somebody a fresh juice that you have added sugar and dilute with more water or colorant, that's already a food fraud.
That's fraud.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a big time.
You say there's
food
no
fraud.
sugar, but there's sugar in
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And it's supposed to just be an extract of a product, a sugar cane extract or juice extract. So EU is more pervasive. It's not limited to Nigeria. It's worldwide. And at the level of FAO and WHO, they are taking it to higher length to curb food fraud. Mustafa just mentioned to us now, it's a player in the game, in the industry, and we hear issues of faking, which is a bit different from substandard product too. Failure of good practices in handling food item according to how it should be presented and manufactured. If you have a good system in place, it mitigates such gaps. Of course, from time to time, we anticipate that there are failures in the system, so we have a recall system. It's one of the best practices for even industry itself to track. He talked about going to track his products in the shop. That's post-marketing surveillance. His product has been licensed. Yesterday, my colleague was talking about post-marketing surveillance. And currently, we are trying to see how every manufacturer does internal post-marketing surveillance of his own product, not waiting for NAFDAC alone to come and do their own. We will still do our own as a regulator, but individuals should be able to do, after licensing and getting registered, they should be able to track their own performance in distribution network. No more manufacturing, but in the distribution system up to the table. Issue of food is a critical issue that bothers everybody.
Yes, it does.
Everybody has to eat, and the food we eat also serves as our medicine. And when we eat safe food, then you will not have, as he referred to, food poisoning or food intoxication, whichever one it might be. Because when you have this problem, then you need treatment. And it's a cost on the individual or the family. And that brings us to the economy of food safety, or safe food that human being has to consume. In estimation, it's a huge amount. When there's no food safety, then there's a lot of money to spend on addressing such issues. Okay, before I go back to Mr. Mustafa, I want to say something. You know, I was having a conversation with my series producer, and we said that there's a country that has a very stiff penalty for people who commit these crimes. They go for the capital punishment, as a matter of fact. Do you think the reason why we're not stamping it or even curtailing it as much as we should is because the punitive measures are not strong enough? Most times, compared to what they do, is a slap on the wrist. Do you think so? Exactly what happened is that before now, we have a weak legislation. Happily, the legislation is under review in National Assembly, and it addresses this gap where we have to take a small punishment for violations and presenting a situation that is bordering on public health from unsafe food. I think when the new legislation comes to address this gap, things will change from the minimum punishment that the court of law can administer on people involved in this kind of practices. Definitely, I think the new law is more encouraging to the society to address most of these issues. Okay, thank you so much. We look forward to stiffer punishment for offenders. Mr. Mustafa, yesterday we were talking and we said the importance of labeling. You have to label your products correctly, giving the right information. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to ask you, are you labeling correctly as a manufacturer, your packaging? Are you giving us the right information? If I pick up your products, will I know exactly what the composition, the nutritional value, and whatever I need to know? Will I get it from your labels?
Sure, you would.
Okay.
You know, because remember, it's a competitive world out there. You know, beyond is a regulatory matter for you to label correctly.
Okay.
your product could be in order, like the raw product itself could be in order, but you could be found wanting for wrong labeling.
Oh, good.
So I don't think you want to get yourself out of business or get sanctioned for what you could have done well, because I mean that's like one of the easiest thing to do in the line of
everything.
Yes, so our products are well labeled. Remember that you need to also do some laboratory checks for every batch that you produce and all of that. So maintain that constant, information that you put on your label. So you don't do it one-off, so that tomorrow there's a variation and then it's like, oh, we have done it. No. So you have to, beyond the labeling, you have to keep testing your products, going back to the lab, quality control to make sure that it's constantly what it's on the label, because some persons don't want to fall ill, so they look at labels a lot. A good thing is most Nigerians are beginning to get used to looking at labels. I mean, before I got into doing this, I just pick up products from the shelf. Then gradually I got like, okay, so they said it would be this and that. And then, of course, now I have more awareness. I also tell people, oh, you're complaining. You shouldn't complain. You should have looked at the label before. While we're doing this and trying to come mainstream, I had conversations with my friends who live offshore. And the first questions, especially those in America, the first question will always be like, so what's the composition? What's, because they don't pick up packaged stuff without getting to know. Because you cannot see, even if you see the live product itself, what do you know that is made of?
Exactly.
So the label should tell you it's made of XYZ at this quantity. And then you now ask yourself, okay, do I want to take this quantity off? Exactly. And then over time, so all of this is part of the information that should go out, and I think it's part of what we're doing here right now. So if you don't read your labels, please do. And then if you find a product that does not have these labels well put out there, naturally you shouldn't even pick it.
That's the red flag. That's the red flag. Nigerians must imbibe the culture of reading. We must read. Take your time and read. We've been saying this since yesterday and we'll keep saying it. Okay, before we go over, have another contribution.
Can I add it to that?
Okay, hold the thoughts. Just hold the thoughts. You see, in all this conversation, the consumer is king. What is the consumer thinking? What is their perspective? NTA Cafe has us covered. Let's watch.
Food packaging is a process of enclosing food to protect it from tampering or contamination from physical, chemical, and biological sources, with active packaging being the most common packaging system used for preserving food product. Packaging systems are many, such as glass, bags, boxes, cans, carton, nylon. But how safe is a packaged food to human? Those interviewed have different views on their experience from consumption of packaged food and drinks.
Sometimes you may buy something like drinks, you open it and find out that what you expected is not what is inside. It's when you have tested it and the taste is not what we expected. That's when you remember to check the expiring date, especially when you are in hurry.
Stress-free, like something you want now, you just get it sharp because it's always ready for you, understand? But then sometimes it's not always good, you depend on it.
You see, our ancestors, they eat fresh diet and we discover they live very healthy and strong. But we who start practicing this Oyibo mind kind of approach to preserving or processed food and packaged food, compare our strength and our lifespan with them, there is this great difference.
The hygiene is prepared by me, so I know the process through which I prefer this, yes, but for the package, I don't know the water source, the environment, and all of that.
Even though it's a boiled water, you can cook it yourself. Boil it, make sure it boils. Bring it that it gets cold, then you start making use of it.
A lecturer in the Department of Nutrition and Dietetics, College of Science and Health Technology, KEFI, Aisha Ahmed, says packaged food has its advantages and disadvantages to humans.
Packaging of food is essential because that's where food hygiene came into. Because there are food that if they're not packaged, they can't be palatable. You can't even see them as something that you would like to consume. So when we said, but when you're talking about materials used in packaging food, some are unhealthy while some are healthy. Depends on the food you package. Because if you say food packaging, you're just talking initially about processed food. More of packaged food that are packaged are processed. And in one way or the other, during that processing method, they follow some certain procedures. That includes the laboratories and other things, which some of the food lose some of their nutrients in the aspect of that packaging aspect. So some materials used for packaging are not healthy, while some are healthy. So the issue is what you are packaging determines the healthiness of that particular material. Let's say you are packaging a hot item in a plastic something. There are some chemicals in that will be released to that particular thing you package. Storage is very good in packaging foods. Some food have limitation. Some might last 3 days, 7 days, while some might not even last up to that long. So all this thing has to do with you considering the fact that you are the final stage. You will be the one to consume it, so you have to be careful about your health.
Intake of packaged foods may be good. However, there is need for those that revel in that to strike a balance between their well-being and pleasure.
Yeah, of course, we have advantages and disadvantages, and NTA has actually taken us around it and bring to the fore issues. My guest is still here, and I'm going to throw one. But before that, you said you wanted to react to what we were talking about, or do we just quickly...
Labeling, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, labeling is a whole issue that if you were to discuss, you need a whole day. There's a xenox between, in labeling, there's xenox between source, consumer, and formulation, quality, all embracing. So what labeling is doing is presenting to you what is purportedly inside the package, and it extends to presentation for consumer with added value. You know, if we have the same content formula of food and I present it to consumer in a way that is appealing, and yours is shabby, the one that's shabby has no value addition. The one that is appealing in the way you package it and preserve presentation to the public also appears more. So when you talk of label, happily there's a new regulation on prepackaged food labeling in Nigeria. And it's on our website, www.nafdac.ng. You see the regulation on labeling. Some other time, we do in NAFDAC what we call total diet study. Total diet study is in second year, and we are trying to go into a new phase now. For 20-25 years, there was no total diet study going on in Nigeria, but in recent time we've started, and it cuts across all foods, whether it's as far as it's food that we are eating in Nigeria, and it shows a pattern and trend we are trying to do out of the data that came up. Show what is more prevalent, what is wrong in certain food that constitute public health issue of food safety issue in this area, in this area, in this area, in this area. So beyond the normal regulatory issue, we are even going to the issue of total diet, which is like gathering information to know what do we eat as Nigerians and what does it constitute in terms of its danger or safety to the public.
I think that is good. I mean, given the way that we are having prevalent cases of kidney failure in Nigeria, it's very important.
And the report of that total diet style also inform us on relating with the public. We disseminate, like the last one was on mycotoxin because the study shows that there are more mycotoxin contaminated foods up north. So Kano had to be the center to disseminate and tell people why certain foods shouldn't be handled the way they are being handled, because it makes them prone to growth of fungi. And when fungi grows on it, it's going to extrapolate the toxins that cause mycotoxin. And mycotoxin, as you know, leads to several other organ diseases and cancer and the rest of it. Yeah, we know the trend now, but we have data now. We are generating data, and further studies will unravel such things beyond the normal checking factory, checking the market, and checking the household.
Okay.
You know, so there's different segmentation of management.
I smiled when you mentioned Kano. I smiled. You didn't know why, because we are going to Kano now for them to join this conversation. So it was as if you were looking into the future where you called Kano. Let's allow Kano to join this conversation.
Singa Market, Kano, a prominent and major central distribution and marketing point of foods and beverages. From this market, huge variety of packaged foods and drinks are being distributed to various selling points across the city of Kano, just as hundreds of trucks on daily basis leave the market for neighboring states. However, some few years back, Singa Market was suddenly thrown into crisis when apparently a contaminated food additive, otherwise known in Hausa as tanthami, believed to have been brought out from some stores in the market, found its way into many homes across the city of Kano. Consumed as an additive to fruit juice and other milk products, the substance left so many people hospitalized.
There is a case of Dansami who happened to be even escalated not only Singa Market, but others market we have in Kano, especially Rimi Market, Sabongari and others.
It's a concentrated chemical used to add in Rani. So mistakenly some people start selling it as what? Sweetener. It's not sweetener. So before you know it, this from the source, the case is escalating, people are buying. And then this is associated with the current economic situation of the country. If the sugar, people that cannot afford sugar, they're now thinking that when they get sweetener, it will replace the sugar.
This devastation prompted swift action by the government of Kano State.
Measures was taken at that time is a government interfere into the issue, really, by coming into the market, following the news they had on radios, some of the Hausa radios here in Kano, and they make a very serious action on it by bursting into many stores where those enzymes we are stored in there. Then after all, the people arresting that engaging on the issue been taken to police station and later charged them to the court.
All efforts to have some of the victims recall the circumstance failed. However, authorities are putting all their strength in order to avert recurrence of the incidents in the future.
The current Commissioner of Ministry of Commerce come up with innovations trying to identify and register all the suppliers, manufacturers, distributors of businesses in Kano. That is one. Number two, the legislation is also trying to make the amendment of the existing laws in the state. Not only Consumer Protection Council, the public health entirely, the food inspection laws. From the Consumer Protection Council, we are happy that we now have all the power and privileges to inspect food and food-related items, to inspect the manufacturers, even the manufacturers, suppliers, dealers. We do store food on the containers or on the they call it Korea. The food items, we do inspect it there. Where we are suspecting, we do take it to laboratory for laboratory analysis.
The measures we take is we appoint somebody who happen to be a commander, a security in charge. It's an elected person, as elected personnel into the office at the same time that have to do with those issues. Anything that is contaminated, anything that is not good for people to consume, anything that is not proper for people to take to bring it into the market is answerable to that office.
Welcome back. Before we even delve again further, I want to read this message from a viewer. It's a contribution. He said he's Eki from Lugbe. This morning discussion about food packaging in Nigeria is incredibly relevant. It is crucial for all Nigerians, not just NAFDAC, to actively identify and report illegal food products. Staying silent only empowers these counterfeits. Great work, NTA Morning Deal. Eki from Lugbe. And he says again, taking a moment to read packaged food and drink label is crucial, as emphasized on the morning discourse. Looks can be deceiving. It is vital to understand what we consume. Developing this habit helps avoid hidden risks, ultimately reducing relevance on processed items. This is again from Eki. Thank you so much, our viewers. You make our show thicker, and we appreciate you. Now, the issue at hand, you know. First, let me even take it from Kefi, where that guy says sharp. Could it be part of our problem? Nigerians want things sharp. We're not reading, we're not taking our time. What's going on?
It's a very huge problem. Sharp. You know, from, you see, when you, like I told somebody even I think yesterday and said, unfortunately, we're still finding ourselves at a very crude level as human beings in Africa and Nigeria. You know, people don't want to stay back 1 minute. I give you a practical example. If you drive in Abuja, it will tell you the character of the people you're dealing with. Nobody wants to wait 1 second for you to move. You're trafficating to the right and somebody is on that lane and he says, I must go before you go. You know, so all of this sharp is detrimental to our health, our economy, our lifestyles, everything. You know, sharp, you just go pick, boop, you go. You know, so what are you being sharp about? At the end of the day, you come back, you either have renal failures, all that kind of related illnesses, coming from something that would have just taken 5 seconds to read and say, okay, you know what, I don't need this. Okay, in the last 1 month, I've had too much of this, so let me slow down a bit.
True.
All of this comes back to toxins. Whatever it is that we talk about food safety, it's about the toxins, you know. How much of it are you getting into your system? You know, so people will tell you, oh, because the guy is a heavy alcoholic, that's why he had kidney issues. No. I've had personal friends who never drank alcohol in their lives, but had kidney issues. You know, so it's about what you eat, it's about the environment you find yourself, it's about not being sharp, not being on the fast lane. Yeah, to want to get everything. Somebody can be careful, like, oh, this is how I live my life, but the person is not careful to the point to read. So that in itself is a problem.
Okay.
You know, and it's going to be very difficult at this rate to come back and tell people, you know what, slow it down.
Well, as far as health is concerned, I'll repeat, there is time.
There is time.
Okay, now let's talk about preservative and additives. Sir, do you think that in Nigeria we are keeping, we are true to the safety codes and measures as far as additives and preservatives are concerned? I know we had that conversation yesterday, but I would love your perspective on that one. And again, like I asked the colleague yesterday, must we have additives and preservatives?
Of course, there are permitted additives and preservatives, and we have a regulation too that stipulates what additive or preservative you can use in any class of food, and the rate it should be used is adopted from WHO's specifications and FAO specs. What we are saying is that in food generally, there are permitted and unpermitted. And even if it is permitted, it must comply to the usage rate. What we call additives are not part of the ingredient. They might be process technology aiding, it might be for preservation, it might be to achieve certain desired characteristics in that food. So when you use it, you don't use it like a normal ingredient. They are in small quantity.
Yeah.
But it's a technical thing, because if you don't know how to handle it, you're going to flood the item you want to preserve in such a way that it will be overloaded with the preservative. That's the issue. That's the root cause of the matter. Yeah. Misuse and non-compliance to usage percentages and rate of what it should be is what is really the bane of use of preservative or use of permitted preservative. Because, for example, you take your fermented milk and you want to preserve it, you say you want to use benzoate. But if you have pasteurized that milk, if you have a pasteurizer and you have pasteurized, it will have killed all live organisms there. It will not deteriorate, it will not be fermented further. It will not deteriorate, it will not spoil. Right?
Yes.
So there is standard for usage of all these things. But when you don't have the technical know-how, that's where the problem is. Let me give you another example.
Okay.
You see the water we drink now from Waterworks? Part of the problem they have in chemical treatment is chlorination. They will calculate per this volume, is the hardest thing to do. You still see the water come, you perceive residual chlorine. It's not easy, it's a highly technical thing. Then somebody now wants to now package water and he says he's going to do chemical treatment because it's permitted. Can you really handle it? You may not have that technical capability. And once you have excess chlorine in the water, then you're going to cause system issue, because you're going to be taking chlorine, which is not supposed to be so. The percentage for residual is just tiny like that, feeble. But if we are now consuming chlorine, I mean, you know what it could be?
Over time.
Over time. It's going to cause a lot of health challenges, you know?
Say something.
No, talking about, okay, before I come to you, talking about water. Again, yesterday we had a whole lot of issues around internet sensations and all, but there was this a video that was making the round that there's pure water with worms in it. Now, was the worms introduced as they were packaging, or was it the water that got bad? I don't know if is it possible for water to get back to the point where worms would develop in a pack of pure water, or it entered while they were packaging. It's quite confusing. It's scary, and that was a real scary picture or video to watch.
Yeah, from beginning of the treatment, there are standard processes from sedimentation to bring the solid part down, from filtration to using of UV light, to so many other equipment that can improve the final water. That's the simplest method, without going further to more sophisticated other treatment. If you sample all of these at these joints and take it in your own lab, you will know as the treatment is going whether it's being effective up to the final product. In fact, the final product testing is not in vague. It's inbuilt quality systems assure safety. That's what is it. We normally refer to it as hazard analysis and critical control point. You've done your schemes of analysis, you know what can happen here, what can happen here, what can happen here, which one is critical, and that if you don't treat, it will carry over to the final. So you put in some measures at each point, that those measures will mitigate those things from ever happening. When you go to final product testing, you are only validating, testing whether your system is effective. So it's possible water gets contaminated the way you saw it in that presentation yesterday.
That video.
But it shows system failure. If the system is working effectively from beginning to the end and taking care of the packaging material which is coming in contact with the finished product that will be stored there, then you can actually prevent some of these things.
Okay, so hold that thought. Let's another break beckons. We are still here. Please don't go away. Welcome back. From that break, we'll be proceeding straight to Asaba, where they're talking about reforms. They're talking about reforms as far as food packaging is concerned. Let's see that, then our conversation here will continue.
There is a consensus that regulatory oversight and better relationship with food producers would improve the current food safety deficiency in Nigeria. Food and drinks are vital elements required by man for survival. Therefore, it's key to ensure the consumables at the reach of consumers are in a more hygienic standard than ever, particularly in these uncertain times.
Hey! See the kind of tomatoes when I go buy for market. You sure say this never expire?
I've experienced packaged food, the spice that I think it was called jollof mix also. I used it to make food. And after we ate, my grandson, a 5-year-old boy, all his body became swollen. So we were like, what happened to this boy that his body is swollen? I was one that cooked that day. So I sat down and I was ruminating what happened the day. Then I was like, is it this new spice that I just introduced that could be causing this? So I stopped using that spice. We took the boy to the hospital. The doctor said it's food poison.
There is a saying that we are what we eat. So if we eat right, it means our health will be optimal and will be sound and healthy. So every establishment, the government, individuals and industries should give attention to food and food safety, because if the food is wholesome, then the health of the individuals who consume this food will be guaranteed.
Packaged food and drinks have helped man at different times, as food could not be cooked every now and then. However, with poor handling and packaging, contamination sets in, leading to food poison, which take its tolls on lives in the society.
The causes of all this is not far from the constituted authority that's supposed to be supervising them. They are not really doing their job. That is why anyone can wake up from anywhere and start producing sachet water.
Contaminated packaged foods and drinks have taken the lives of many in the society, in some cases, family members after eating together at home. Preservation of perishable food is important as a way of storage. It then becomes imperative for packaging of the consumables to meet standard for the good health of consumers.
I would say that the government is trying its best, because that's why I set up agencies like NAFDAC and the other food sub-agencies. It is that when people are doing fake things, it's a crime. They want the short way, they want to make money. Then it will not look as if the government is not doing what it should do.
In terms of packaging, there is a lot of innovations that can be adopted to ensure that food is wholesomely packaged without being laden with preservatives that are dangerous to health. We know that fruits and vegetables are living things. They respire just like humans respire. Humans depend on oxygen from plants for survival, while plants depend on carbon dioxide from humans for survival. So those food products, why they spoil is because they need to respire.
Maintaining high hygienic standard requires the cooperation of both the government and those handling the food. Invariably, organizations saddled with the responsibilities of food, drinks, drugs, and other edibles needs to be empowered to cover all the nooks and crannies in the country to ensure quality assurance control before its distribution to the public.
Most of these plastics
exposed to undue temperature, some level of temperature, the chlorine, hydrochlorine, becomes soluble. And when you drink them, they are likely to transmit carcinogenic elements.
I call on the regulatory body to take proactive measure to ensure that the food we eat are wholesome. Food is life. Every day we depend on food. And so without food, we cannot live. If the emphasis is on food rather than drugs, it will help to reduce the frequent ill health in the society.
In all, the manufacturing companies should take concerted effort in ensuring the packaged foods and drinks in circulation meet quality assurance standard for human consumption.
Honestly, food poisoning is something we must take very seriously. I mean, we heard stories, heart-wrenching stories of a family all dying because they ate something the night before. The next morning, nobody woke up. These stories are heart-wrenching, and that's why we must pay attention to what we eat. Let's fight this thing together. No agency alone can do it. Now, our guest is still here. I'll be taking some of your messages. Thank you so much for your messages. This one says, I pray NAFDAC should do more. I bought a well-known product, juice, and what I saw inside was terrible. And I don't want to mention the name of the product. God help us. My name is Queen in Abuja. You see, could this be part of the problem? They don't want to mention. Why are Nigerians like this? You bought a product that you saw terrible things inside. I actually mean that she didn't report. She didn't report. She didn't report. Obviously, this person did not report, because if she had reported, she would say, I went here and they did this, like we saw yesterday. Yeah. So do you think the silent culture is also enabling these fraudsters, like I like to call them?
You know what we've been discussing? I told you there's Xenox between the formulation, which is the product, the labeling, and the consumer. And all is geared towards protecting the consumer. And all of us, we are all consumers. Even the manufacturer.
They are consumers too, yes.
The regulator and the public, they are all consumers. But everybody has its own role to play. In those days, they will say consumerism. Consumerism is about what? The power of consumer to exert what is supposed to be done that is due to them in essence of that product. So that's failure of consumerism. Because consumerism is so strong that everybody must give it attention, whether you are a manufacturer, whether you are a consumer yourself. Once you rise with that consumerism, which is so powerful, things will be corrected. So what my colleague said yesterday was that you buy a product, it's defective, it's spoiled, you've looked at the labeling, and you've seen that it's still within the best use before time or best before time. If it's some product that expired, it's not expired, okay. Consumer right demand that you lodge that complaint to the appropriate. The issue about consumer is shared towards safety prevention of repeat of failure of safety, so that safety is established. Now what we are saying is that you've not helped to prevent other people from taking that product by not lodging the complaint, because a series of investigation will have established what's wrong and how many is in circulation, how many was done from that source of manufacturing, and a recall can be done.
A recall can be done. These are some of the measures we will take.
And that reminds me, the labeling too, we're trying to take it to an extra step ahead. We're going to have in place traceability. Food traceability entails the fact that all the information as you read is also barcoded, or and in that code you can scan and read everything.
Like that.
Then it contains every relevant information which is written there, even source of the items that were used, which enables traceability. If there is public health issue, we can now say, okay, this company manufactured this day, this, that, and it got its material from here. So we can be able to take some regulatory measures to curtail repetition of such items. The company itself will be able to know where it's sourcing certain thing that is really not giving it the right indicator or characteristics they want. So these are issues every consumer must take serious. Consumerism must come to forefront. I'm not saying that you should come and complain for compensation. No. For safety, humanity first. You've prevented some other people from consuming that, and you might survive, those people might not survive, taking the same contaminated or spoiled food. And that's what it entails, essentially.
Oh, good. That consumerism. When you talked about traceable, my series producer shouted, yes, because she has been worried. If I see a NAFDAC number, if I see this, how do I know? So when it's traceable, Nigerians are empowered, and consumerism, like you just told us, will become more empowered, and we can do more.
And you are even adding, you can actually check a product online from NAFDAC portal to see if that registration is actually by NAFDAC.
Our time is running out. We were going to take a break, but before then, let me tell Queen and people like Queen, please, it's beyond you. If you do not report, like it said, you're putting all the Nigerians in danger. Let's stop hiding behind the scene. Report. Again, I emphasize, shine your eyes. If you see something, say something. We'll go on the break. One word before we go.
Yes. 2023 was an amazing year.
Okay.
I urge every listener to pick up consumerism, right?
Consumerism.
Let's, bring up the consumerism spirit in 2024.
Thank you very much. I think on the last note, I'll just say, safe food for all.
So
we must all abide to realize that food safety is for all, and we put hand on deck to achieve safe food. Let food be our medicine so that we remain healthy. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. While we wish you a prosperous 2024, we encourage you to watch what you eat so we can all be healthy into the new year. Goodbye. God bless Nigeria. God bless you. We love you.